In this session, we are going to learn about the empirical formula. What's an empirical formula? An empirical formula is a simplified, it's not realistic formula, it's just a simplified formula of a compound showing the ratio of the elements in this compound. And the word ratio here is very important because this is what the empirical formula is about. So let's see now how to calculate the empirical formula given certain percentages. The steps to calculate an empirical formula, the steps are as follows. You should have these steps in front of you because you're going to use it for all the empirical formula calculation questions. The steps are: step number 1, given the percentage, divide by the MR. Number 2, divide by the smallest number to get a ratio. Okay, these are the steps. Divide by the MR and then divide by the smallest number. We know that in order to get the ratio of anything, we divide by the smallest number. For example, to get the ratio of 10 to 5, what do? We divide both by the smallest, which is 5. So the ratio is 2 to 1. Okay, so this is the last step of all the empirical formula calculation questions. Let's see an actual empirical formula question. If you are given, now we are going to work out the questions on this page. Okay, if you are given this, find the empirical formula of the following. A compound containing calcium by 40%, carbon by 12%, and oxygen by 48%. So what you do is you list the elements like this: calcium, carbon, and oxygen. And you write the given below each element: 40, 12, 48. What's the first step? Do you remember? If you don't, just pause, rewind, and find out the first step. The first step is the percentage that you have divided by the MR. So divide 40 by the MR of calcium. The MR of calcium is here in the periodic table, it's 40. The MR of carbon is 12. The MR of oxygen is 16. So this is step number 1, divide by the MR. Okay, the results are 1, 1, 3. So if we divide by the smallest number to get a ratio, there's nothing smaller here than this one, so all divided by 1, the ratio would be 1 to 1 to 3, which makes the formula of this compound CaCl3. CO3. Okay. Let's move on to the second example. Here, 92.8 of lead in this compound and 7.2 of oxygen in this compound, 7.2%. So I would list the elements like this. Here's lead, here's oxygen. 92.8, 7.2%. The first step is divide by the MR. So you go to the periodic table and you look for lead. Here it is. The mass number is 207. Mass number is the MR. 207. And the mass number, or the MR of oxygen, is 16. So this makes the result here 0.448, and over there the result would be 0.45. So this is roughly the same. Okay, so when we get a ratio, we divide both by the smallest. This is smaller than that, but we approximate in this case because the difference is very small. So we divide both by the smaller number. Okay, the ratio is 1 to 1. So the formula is PbO.